Wow.
Hello, and welcome back, Royalty Talk Podcast family. Today, we are going to be briefly discussing making your mind up. It can be so very, very difficult to sometimes make decisions. So if you're like me, you might just want to take some time to sit on it and dwell on it, but you don't want to just not make a decision at all. Because like they say, not making a decision is making a decision. The Bible talks about in James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And that's something that we don't, to me, that scripture really, it makes sense on a lot of different viewpoints because it's talking about instability, and instability can bring on stress. It can bring on anxiety because you have no idea on what you can anticipate to come. So for me, if I don't know what's going to happen, that's going to stress me out. And sometimes if I anticipate a certain thing happening without maybe thinking it the whole way through or taking a little bit of time to think it the whole way through, then that causes me additional stress and anxiety. So, you really have to be balanced in how you handle situations, especially this time of the year. It's the Christmas season. It's the holiday season. We've got through Thanksgiving. We've gotten through Christmas. And we want to do the best we can at making wise decisions. We don't want to go out and splurge in different activities that is beyond what we spend. We can splurge in alcoholism or anything else that could take you out of focus from what you need to do in the days coming, the people around you who need you. And that's just where I want to sit. Our bodies consist of, we are spirit beings, but we have a soul. And our soul consists of the mind, our will, and our emotions. And when those areas are restless because we are indecisive, it affects everything that we do. You got to think about it. Mentally, if you're off, it does affect everything else you do. There are times when certain things happen and I need to take a mental break. I need to get myself together for a day and then jump back into life. But I do make sure that I take some time to handle me. Just because I am a saved individual does not mean that I am free from experiencing the emotions of life because of different things that happen. It doesn't mean that I am free from experiencing life because life happens to everybody. And the Bible does not mislead us on this. It talks about suffering and long suffering and that. So, just trying to be prepared for those things in the best way that I can is how I feel like that's the first step in decision making and making our mind up and sticking to certain things is being prepared. And it's better to be overly prepared than not have enough or not have what you need. And it's also about evaluation and checkups. We are literally the gatekeepers and overseers to what we allow in our minds, what we allow in our personal spaces, and life will demand our time, our attention, and our resources. So we have to be attentive to what is demanding those things and how much do I need to give you? Because there are certain areas of our lives we don't have a choice but to give our attention because they demand our time. We have children who demand our attention. We have spouses who demand our attention. We have laundry that's demanding our attention. But we have to make sure that we are appraising all these different areas and saying, all right, are you trying to be a focus pimp in my life? And by focus pimp, I mean, these things will have you out here working with no return. You will be neglected while you out here giving, and someone else or something else is taking. And that's not where you want to find yourself, because when you don't take care of you, when you're down, 9 times out of 10, that type of person doesn't have anybody to take care of them. So that is a part of just making up our mind. You know, if that's the only thing that you do for the upcoming years, make your mind up to take care of you. Take care of you first. You cannot give out properly to anyone else if you have not taken care of yourself first. And then outside of that, you need to do a checkup and see where the focus pimps are, because focus pimps will hide in plain sight. They will be literally right in front of you. You got to make sure that they are not draining you, that they're not dragging you, that they are not pulling you in the wrong direction. Focus pimps look like, and I'll use focus as the acronym just so that we can see what kind of symptoms focus pimps have, what kind of characteristics focus pimps have. Focus pimps show up in fear. They show up in fear. And sometimes that's fear of failure, fear of facts. Sometimes it's not failure that keeps us from doing what we need to do and making a decision. It is the facts that will keep us from making a decision and moving forward. But, you know, my advice is to face the fear that's presented. It doesn't matter if it looks like it is a fact or if it looks like it is a misleading reality. Face it so that you can properly make a decision on what you're going to do next, because you don't want life running you. Remember, you know, I said we are the gatekeeper, we're the overseer. You don't let the bondage control you. You bound that thing and you take it captive and you tell it where it needs to go. You do what it needs to happen with it. It shows up, focus pimps show up in opposition. Things will be hard. Everything is not going to be easy. Life takes resiliency. Things are not perfect the first time. You have to try again a lot of times. But you want to make sure that when you're doing that, that you're not just saying, well, this relationship is hard, it must be worth fighting for. No. Okay? Let's be honest, and let's take a time, let's step back and see, do you need to put the time and effort, the love, the finances, all of those things into someone who may or may not be doing the same for you? So just because it's hard, don't say that that's worth it. You really have to evaluate, is it worth it? You know, and none of us know what someone will be 10 years or 20 years from now. But what type of signs are they showing you now? That's what you can base a wise decision off of. And that's my suggestion on that. And I'll keep going because, I mean, truth be told, I've made a lot of decisions in the area of relationships, not necessarily looking at the person's potential, but what I thought they were going to be, how I thought they could be. And you can't change someone else. You can't make someone else you. So really, you have to step back and don't let your heart do the talking, because the heart can be deceitful. You really have to make wise decisions based off of facts, based off of potential, based off of conversations, based off of things that you guys have discussed, your futures. Do you sound like, is your talk the same? Is your walk the same? Because you can have someone who's saying, I'm dreaming the same things that you're dreaming. I want to do those things too. But if you're the only one that's making moves, if you're the only one that's saying, how can I do this LLC? If you're the only one that's saying, well, how can I fix my credit? Then that person may just be selling you a dream. And you don't want to make a long-term decision off of someone who's going to hope that you're going to continue to live in your dreams, because at some point you got to wake up. Okay, so opposition. Opposition is another faith-focused pimp. Well, not faith-focused pimp, but a focus pimp. It's not going to show up in faith. It's going to show up in fear. It's going to show up in opposition. It's going to show up in criticism. Okay, people who constantly talk negative, people who have negative to say about this, about that, the food ain't right, this ain't right, this person isn't right, and they're really never looking in the mirror and saying, how am I not right? And then you find yourself negative talking about this, negative talking about that. It catches on. So you just want to be mindful. Are you talking negative? Are the people around you talking negative? And if so, X them out. Really, really see, when can I spend time with this person? Because I can't let that get into me. I can't start speaking negative about this thing. And there's some things that you don't want to hear no negativity about. If there's something that you're trying to push forward to, don't let somebody who you already know is going to have something negative to say 9 times out of 10, don't share it with them. Sometimes you got to move in silence and get it done. It show focus pimps show up in unwellness. I literally have experienced myself being stressed out and having chronic vertigo, where I know for pretty much a year of my life, I pretty much spent in bed 9 times out of 10, going to different types of doctors, trying to see how I could stop being dizzy all the time, every day. And once I got a hold to that stress and that anxiety and dealt with it, I stopped having symptoms every day. It got to the point where I was having like heart attack symptoms. And so I do realize that a lot of sickness that shows up will show up in our lives because it is something we have neglected to monitor or something we have stopped monitoring. It really, really is decisions, a lot of making up our mind when we don't do it. Literally, guys, it can harm ourselves, our bodies. And that is what we need to be mindful of. It also will show up, those focus pimps will show up in our squad. And that can be one of the hardest areas to adjust, because a lot of times you have spent so much time with people that you don't want to change your circle. But it's crazy because sometimes your circle will change without you even saying anything because you've changed. And you just got to go roll with the punches. Roll with the punches, keep going, and monitor those relationships. Monitor your community, your neighborhood, your partnerships. Because all of those areas, you got to make certain decisions in. And you need to make sure that your voice is heard, that you're being honored in it, and that they're not stealing your focus, getting you off balance, taking you off track, and that what you give is being reciprocated. Okay, because you shouldn't be the giver, and everybody else are takers, because that drains you. And I know how that feels. So in recent times, I've had to, with some very close interpersonal relationships, monitor and say, I got to pull back because you don't appreciate, you're not grateful for what I'm doing. So you got to see, doesn't have to be this way. I do these things because I love you and I'm trying to help you, but you can't drain me in the meantime. And opposing those focus pimps are focus pushers. And I've had pushers in my life. I've had mentors. I've had pastors who pushed me. They saw the potential because I wasn't where I am today and I'm not where I will be later. There are people who held me to certain accountability standards. Did it always feel good? No. Focus pushers do not always make you feel good. They will let you cry and then be like, all right, here's a tissue, but what we doing? What's the plan? And I'm grateful for those people because they help me to see how to reach my goals. Go not just natural goals, not just my physical goals, but financial goals and all areas of my life. Just pushing me. And, sometimes not pushing me, but cheering me on. I'm so grateful for that because I know how to be that for other people now too. So how do they show up? What do they look like? So you can find those people who need to be in your circle, need to help you because you don't want to rely on the wrong people and the wrong counsel whenever you are trying to make these monumental decisions in your life. You want the right people, the right community that you can lean on. Faith pushers focus pushers look like faithful people. They walk out and talk out faith. And that, I keep messing up and saying that word, but I believe it's because I am a believer in faith. In every single area. I had to have faith before my son got here. My baby boy. When I was miscarrying, when I wasn't ovulating like I should have, I had to have faith. When I started buying stuff, boxing it up, diapers, clothes, car seat, crib. Didn't look like he was coming. But I had to continue to have the faith. And, regardless of, I didn't care what anybody thought. When we moved in our house, we had a nursery. One of the rooms was going to be a nursery. Okay? Because I knew. I had to walk in that faith. Whether it looked good every day, it did not. So, yeah, that's what I had to do. Focus pushers have order. They have balance in their lives. And I keep saying that they have balance in their lives because you really need to monitor somebody else. You can't have somebody who has a lot of chaos in their life that they're constantly around, constantly in the middle of, and think that they're going to help you balance yours out. That's not the case. 9 times out of 10, that is not the case. So you do want to take a look and see, even with yourself, you have to be your own focus pusher. You have to say, okay, I got to get things in order so that there can be some predictability, so I can go in a direction and not be at a standstill, so I can manage chaos. Because there are times when life is going to look like everything is going crazy. It's going to be one storm after another. It's going to be one thing after another, over and over and over. And you have to know how to manage that, because there is not always going to be someone else you can call on and say, you going to push me today? You going to push me here today? Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. And there is a season where that is necessary, more than necessary, for you to come out of that cave, for you to come out of that hole, that thing. Because if you don't believe in you, you're not going to make the steps to move and make changes. And change is my next thing that focus pushers look like. They understand that change is the constant. Something happened, okay, you need to, like this church I listen to, they say, we don't make excuses. We make adjustments. And that's what focus pushers do. They don't make excuses, they make adjustments. I've worked in mortgage for a long time, and one thing that they say is change is constant. You have to be used to it. Rules and regulations change. And now I've learned to adapt to that in my own life. There are going to be things that require me to change. And I am a very controlling person. I like to control the odds. I like for things to be pretty predictable and what's going to happen. because I'm a planner. But I do realize that I can't plan for everything, that I can't control everything. So I can do the best that I can, but I do realize that there are times where I got to take my little journal back out, I got to take my calendar back out, and I got to make changes. Make new appointments, schedule something different, take some time out, take a step back. It's just what you got to do. Change will happen. Adjust. Don't make excuses. Focus pushers also have unity. They are not going to come into your life and cause division. They bring peace. And I say that peace is a portion of purpose. When you're walking in purpose, you walk in peace. You walk in truth. You walk in love. Those are all like fruits of your purpose tree. When those fruits sprout, that is what they look like. Unity. That's what focus pushers will do for you. They bring life together. So life is in harmony. Life works together. You're not constantly feeling like you're working against life, that something is always coming at you and you don't know what to do. Focus pushers help you stand on your own 2 feet so you can be independent, so you can have that accountability, and you can move forward. And last, but certainly not least, focus pushers let you know that there is a requirement of sacrifice. You may not want to hear it, but sacrifice is required. There are things you're going to have to give up. There are people you're going to have to let go. It's not always going to be easy, because there were some people that are not in my life anymore, and I'm fine with it. Completely fine. There are other people where it hurt a little, and sometimes a lot to have to let those people go. But everybody can't go with you to destiny, because some people you're going to try to drag. Some people, it's too much weight that they have for you to bear. It's not reciprocal in the relationship, and it's just not meant for you. Some sacrifice means that you have to be stretched, and stretching is not comfortable. It's just not. But the opposite side of that is stretching sees your potential, and it knows that you have the capacity to be accountable for your purpose. You have the capacity to handle what's in front of you. I have a lot of hair. I have a whole lot of hair. A whole lot of natural hair. Okay, so it can be real big sometimes, real line-like. I cannot take something small that can't stretch and put it on my ponytail. It pop. Won't work. They have these thick hair bands and these longer bands that I can double up, and it can hold my hair. But I wouldn't dare go get a little flexi rubber band and think that it's going to go anywhere near this crown of mine and hold it down. And that's the way it is with my life. I have to be mindful of what tool I'm using in what place. I have to be mindful of who's asking me to sacrifice something. Is that going to just stretch me and keep them comfortable? Sacrifice is not making non-wise decisions. It's not giving to everyone else, and then you have nothing left in your tank. But sacrifice will in the right place take you in the right direction. And those things help you make up your mind. They help you make good decisions. So really making up your mind and not being wavering and wrestling with decisions is really all about wisdom. So I say we just need to be like Solomon and say, Lord, give us wisdom. Give us wisdom on every area of our life. Give us wisdom in how to parent, how to manage our finances, how to love our spouses, how to love our neighbors. All areas. But truly, truly, it is time to make up our minds, guys. Because like I said, we're not going to make excuses. We're going to make adjustments. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the tea today. Be blessed. Have a wonderful new year. And come join me again. Can't wait for you to have a seat at our table next time.